Living from being, not doing. Emphasizes that most humans live predominantly in doing mode, where identity, purpose, and happiness are tied to action, achievement, and external validation. While action is necessary to navigate life, Tolle points out that true fulfillment arises from the state of being, the silent presence that underlies all activity. By learning to live from being, rather than merely doing, we connect with the depth of our consciousness, experience inner peace, and access a sense of wholeness beyond performance, roles, and outcomes. 1. Understanding doing. Doing refers to the external focused activity that dominates modern life. Achieving goals, completing tasks, and meeting expectations. Pursuing material success, status, or recognition. Engaging in constant problem-solving or planning. When our sense of self is bound to these actions, we become compulsively active, measuring our worth by what we accomplish rather than who we are. This state creates stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction because it is dependent on external circumstances, which are inherently unstable. Tolle emphasizes that doing is not inherently wrong, it is necessary for life, but it becomes limiting when it replaces being, making us identify with activity rather than the awareness that witnesses activity. 2. The essence of being. Being is the silent presence that underlies thought, emotion, and action. It is the conscious awareness that is always present, unchanging, and beyond the fluctuations of the mind. Key qualities of being include stillness and inner peace. Awareness without attachment or judgment. Presence in the current moment. Freedom from compulsive identification with roles or outcomes. Unlike doing, which is external and goal-oriented, being is internal, timeless, and self-sufficient. When we live from being, we act from clarity and presence, rather than from egoic compulsions or fear. 3. The trap of identifying with doing. Most people confuse doing with being, leading to a cycle of stress and dissatisfaction. Identity is tied to accomplishments, I am successful, I am productive. Happiness is conditional on outcomes, I'll be happy when. Fear arises from the potential for failure, judgment, or lack of recognition. This identification creates a disconnection from the deeper self, leaving a sense of incompleteness even amidst success. Tolle calls this the egoic trap. The mind convinces us that fulfillment comes from doing, when in reality, it emerges from being. 4. Being as the source of authentic action. Tolle emphasizes that true action arises from being. When presence guides action, actions are aligned with inner clarity, not egoic compulsion. Tasks are performed with full attention and engagement. Outcomes are no longer the source of self-worth. Activity becomes creative, effortless, and meaningful. Being is not passive, it is the foundation for conscious action. The difference is subtle but profound. Instead of acting from fear, obligation, or identity, we act from awareness, acceptance, and presence. 5. Mindfulness and presence. The primary method for cultivating being is mindfulness, anchoring attention in the present moment. Observe thoughts without attachment or judgment. Notice emotions as they arise, without being consumed. Focus on the sensations of the body or breathing to return to presence. Attend to ordinary tasks with full awareness rather than autopilot. Presence transforms ordinary activity into a form of meditation, where doing becomes an expression of being rather than a measure of self-worth. 6. The role of stillness. Stillness is central to living from being. Tolle describes stillness as the space between thoughts, the silence underlying all mental activity, the awareness that is ever present, even during chaos. Regularly accessing stillness allows us to disentangle from the compulsive need to do, creating a foundation for conscious, deliberate, and peaceful action. 7. Disidentifying from the egoic self. Living from being requires disidentification from the ego, which thrives on doing, achieving, and comparing. Notice when your sense of self depends on accomplishments. Observe the desire for recognition, praise, or validation. Recognize that egoic identity is temporary and unstable. Through awareness and acceptance, the ego's dominance decreases, and the true self, unchanging and present, emerges as the source of action and fulfillment. 8. Conscious work and productivity. Tolle emphasizes that living from being does not mean abandoning work or responsibility. Instead, it transforms how we approach tasks. Work becomes fully present and engaged, not a means to prove self-worth. Actions are motivated by purpose and alignment rather than fear or ego. Productivity becomes flow-based, where effort is harmonized with awareness. By integrating being into work, even ordinary or mundane tasks gain depth, focus, and serenity. 9. Relationships and being. Relationships are a common arena where doing dominates, trying to fix, impress, or control others. Living from being transforms interactions. Presence becomes the foundation for authentic communication. Listening deeply and responding consciously replaces reactive patterns. Relationships thrive on acceptance and awareness, not manipulation or expectation. Tolle highlights that love and connection emerge naturally when we are grounded in being, rather than striving to do or achieve approval. 10. Beyond achievement, fulfillment from being. The central insight of living from being is that fulfillment is not external, it is intrinsic. Happiness is a state of presence, not a reward for success. Inner peace is independent of circumstances. Life becomes richer, even when external results are imperfect. Tolle emphasizes that living from doing alone creates a never-ending chase, whereas living from being roots us in timeless, unshakable contentment. 11. Practical practices for living from being. A. Daily presence exercise. Pause several times a day to observe your breath and bodily sensations. Notice thoughts and emotions, labeling them thinking or feeling without attachment. B. Conscious action. Engage in each task fully, whether washing dishes, walking, or working. Avoid multitasking, focus entirely on the present moment. C. Mindful observation. Watch the urge to constantly do, plan, or achieve. Ask, am I acting from presence, or am I driven by egoic pressure? D. Embracing stillness. Set aside quiet time for meditation or reflective silence. Observe the space between thoughts and the continuity of awareness. 12. The spiritual perspective. From a spiritual standpoint, Tolle emphasizes: doing is bound to time, ego, and thought. Being is timeless, eternal, and whole. Spiritual awakening involves shifting identification from doing to being. Living from being aligns us with the deeper flow of life, where actions arise naturally, effortlessly, and harmoniously, without egoic struggle. 13. Overcoming challenges. Even when living from being, challenges will arise. The mind may pull you back into compulsive doing. Emotional patterns may trigger reactive behavior. External pressures may tempt identification with outcomes. Tolle advises patience, gentle observation, and returning to awareness. Each moment of presence strengthens the capacity to live from being consistently. 14. Integration into everyday life. Integrating being into daily life transforms ordinary moments into spiritual practice. Walking, eating, working, and conversing become expressions of presence. Success is measured by conscious engagement, not by external validation. Life becomes richer, more peaceful, and more meaningful. The key is consistent mindfulness, conscious observation, and cultivating stillness as the foundation for action. 15. Conclusion. Living from being, not doing, is a paradigm shift. Eckhart Tolle teaches that the surface self thrives on doing, achievement, and validation. True fulfillment emerges from connecting with the inner awareness that witnesses life. Actions performed from being are more authentic, creative, and harmonious. By observing the mind, disidentifying from ego, and cultivating presence, one lives fully, peacefully, and joyfully. In essence, doing without being is empty, but being transforms every action into a reflection of consciousness, creating a life of depth, clarity, and inner freedom.